Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of A Millennial's Guide to Real Estate Investing. Today I have Ryan Chaw here. He's a real estate investor, lives in Sacramento, California. Thanks so much for coming on the show today, Ryan.
Hey Antoine, I'm honored to be on your show.
Absolutely. Yeah, so tell everybody, we kind of just met, so this is going to be, an educational experience for me about you and your story and how you got started. So tell everybody a little bit of background about you and how you got started in real estate investing.
Yeah, so I was first inspired again to real estate from my grandpa. He actually bought a couple properties in the Bay Area in California. And from the rental income he got from those properties, he was able to retire early and achieve financial freedom at a pretty early age. And not only that, he was able to help pay part of my tuition, my college tuition, and that of my brothers as well. So I learned that real estate really is one of the best vehicles to create generational wealth. And so, I wanted to get started as soon as I can. So after I got my pharmacy degree in 2015, I bought a house shortly after, a couple months later in 2016. It was a single family home right next to my local college town, and I rented out per room. And then I just bought one a year and repeated the model. Now I'm at four single family homes with 18 tenants, and I make $10,755 per month in rental income from that.
Wow, that's crazy. So you actually bought your first place while you were in college?
Yeah, no, not actually right after I
Right
graduated
after you graduated.
from
Okay,
college. Yeah, but if I
got
were
it.
to go back, I would have actually bought like as soon as I could in college and done a FHA loan and then just house hacked and just
Yeah,
rented out the other bedrooms to my, college friends.
got it. Okay, awesome, cool. So what college town did you go? Did you go to Davis or did you go to
UOP in Stockton.
Oh, in Stockton. Okay, all right,
Yeah.
cool, got it. So you graduated college, got your pharmacy degree, right? And then did you go and get a job right after college using that degree, or what? What did you? How did you show the bank that you were making? Because you must have had some W-2 income in order to get that loan, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I did actually have a couple jobs in college, and so from that income, I just kept saving up. I didn't go to like EDC or,
Coachella.
not I didn't I was very wise about, my money. I put a lot of it into mutual funds, and then
Nice.
basically I kind of built up this, nest egg, and I just put it all on a down payment on the first house. So yeah.
Got it. Okay, cool. And then how much? Let's break down the numbers into that first deal. So you were working full time, right?
Yes.
And then, so you had that full time job, and then you kind of learned from your grandpa way back in the day that real estate was a good thing to invest in. So it seems like you had some money saved up then in the market, and then you also just were kept saving up from your job. But how did you go about thinking that it was a good idea to rent it out to call it? Because there must have been some sort of idea to, hey, actually, I'm not going to do what traditional guys do, like me, like just buy a single family home and rent it out to a family, right? So you actually wanted to break it down room by room. How did you come up with that idea, or where did you come up with that model from?
Yeah, so I was actually inspired also by my friend. His aunt bought a property right next to the college, and then basically my friend lived there for free, and then house hacked and rented it out to his buddies.
Got it.
So that's where I got that idea from. And then, I just when I first bought when I bought my first property, it was a three bed, two bathroom. So it was a pretty cookie cutter property. And I was just kind of experimenting at the time. I bought it for $262,000.
Got it.
And it wasn't like it was making around 2000 per month, which was okay. But then later on, I realized I can add extra bedrooms. And so I added an extra bedroom to that one. And I charged $600 in rent per bedroom. So I started making 2600 on that house
Got it.
after that. So I realized, wherever I can, like convert a living room to a bedroom or where I can put up walls or whatnot and create an extra bedroom, it makes sense for me to do that.
Got it. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. And then now when you're buying properties, then do you try to find a property that then I guess fits that model a little bit more? Or like if you can find like a 5 or 6 bedroom house with 2 or 3 bathrooms, I mean, that would be ideal, right? So now when you're doing that searching, is that something that you kind of look for as well when you're buying now?
Not exactly, because the reason is most three beds, two baths, they're around the 200,000 to $300,000 mark now. If it goes to four bed, two baths, usually those start
Too
running up to the
expensive.
$400,000 mark. So
Got
for
it.
me, it makes sense to buy a three bed, two bath, put up, 1,000 or so to add up an extra bedroom, or even just convert one of the extra rooms into a bedroom, and then, make that extra cash flow rather
Got
than
it. Got it.
buying a 4 bed, 2 bath.
Got it. Okay. Cool. And then are you managing all this stuff yourself, or do you have professional property management in these properties?
I manage myself.
Got
So
it.
I kind of create this, system and put processes in place, like protocols in place in case something happens, something breaks down, or maybe there's some tenant complaints about other tenants. So yeah, I have different ways of handling those.
Got it. Okay. And then did you sign up for like a property management portal, or how does somebody, let's say you do manage all these doors, and I bet you don't have just an Excel spreadsheet of who paid and who doesn't. So what tool did you sign up for, or what program did you sign up for to help keep track of all that stuff and see who's late? Or because I bet like a lot of college kids just want to pay with their phone or just want it automatically deducted, right? So
Yeah,
what tool
exactly.
do
So
you
I use
use?
Zelle for my payments.
Got it.
That's really nice because it tells you right when they pay. So you get like a text message, and you know when they're late because it's automatic. It's a direct deposit, and it comes in that day. Um, so
Got it.
I can tell when they're paying, and I actually do use a Excel spreadsheet to kind of keep track of that type of stuff.
Okay.
As for the utilities, I do have a tenant kind of in charge of the PG&E bill, and then he will pay the bill and then charge the other tenants basically.
Oh
So
wow.
that way it's a lot more automated.
Got it. Okay. And then I'm interested then about the marketing for these rental properties, like for their bedrooms, right? So let's say you go buy a new 3 bedroom, 2 bath house, you convert one of the rooms to, so now it's a 4 bedroom, 2 bath, right? And now you
Mhm.
want to fill tenants in there, or have college students move in there. Then how do you try to find like a group of 4 people that want to move in? Do you just find like one by one and you kind of create this house, or how do you go about that? Because you don't want to like have, like you said, the issues with the tenant. So is your perfect scenario to rent it out for, $3,600, and then everybody kind of at the end of the day pays 600, or how do you do that?
I market it out per room. That's a great question. Yeah, I put out ads saying, "Hey, we have a couple rooms at this house," and I'll just list the rooms and the prices.
Got it.
And I do it through Facebook. There's a lot of good Facebook groups out there for student housing, off-campus housing. That's one way I do it. The other way is just through referrals now. I used to put up like flyers on the bulletin boards on
Yeah,
campus and
yeah.
all that. I even put a sign on the lawn and all that. But really, the best way to target tenants are through the Facebook groups, I find at least, because that's where they're hanging out,
Yeah.
and through referrals. Because now I have 18 tenants, I can ask, each of those 18 tenants have maybe 5 interested friends.
Yeah.
And so I just ask them, if you're not interested in staying next year, or maybe they're graduating next year, then is there anyone who might be interested in staying in your room?
Got it. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then do you have these tenants sign on leases and all that kind of stuff? How are you vetting these tenants or college students? Because that's another big thing with, college student rentals that I think a lot of people are scared about, is them damaging, them throwing parties, them doing X, Y, and Z, right? So how do you kind of
Yeah,
mitigate
yeah,
all those?
exactly. So I think it's kind of the pool I target. I actually target mainly third year and fourth year college students because those are the students who are a little more serious about graduating. I do also try to get graduate students or pharmacy or dental students
Okay.
because they're really focused on their studies, and by then they kind of want a little more privacy, a little less partying and all that.
Got it.
And I do take a look kind of at their social media profiles, and
Okay.
then the last 2 month bank statements of their parents, and then FICO score to
Got it.
make sure that they can, of course, afford the rent. And the thing about the students, what's really great is you're never going to not get paid rent because the parents are the ones paying the rent.
Yeah.
And they're not going to risk their child being evicted because they forgot to send a payment,
Hell
right?
no. Yeah.
And the other benefit about this is the parents, they actually kind of they want their child to be comfortable, right? So sometimes they actually come in and help clean up the house, vacuum the floors or whatnot, kind of take care of the house as well.
That's
So it's
awesome.
a really great system. And
Yeah.
honestly, I think it's a blue ocean because on-campus housing is like $1,100 per month.
Yeah.
I'm only charging $600 per month, which is like half the price. So for a lot of students, it makes a lot of
It's a
sense to stay
steal.
off campus.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
And we're
exactly.
talking about colleges that have like tens of thousands of students
Yeah.
or a couple thousand students. So, I just need 18 of that 5,000, 10,000 students.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of them that would like to live in a more affordable housing.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah, and $600 in California, anywhere in California is, very affordable rent too, especially if they're close to campus and stuff like that as well. So
Yeah.
how and would you say those property values are still in that 200 $300,000 range? Are you still buying properties today in that range, or has your model shifted, or do you think that this is something that can keep going for the next couple of years?
It's gonna keep going, honestly.
Wow.
The latest properties I bought are 315,000. So the first one I bought was 262,000. So obviously it has gone up since then, and California has seen this massive appreciation, especially the last two to 3 years, right?
Yeah.
Especially like where I live in Sacramento, it went from like 300,000 to 500,000 now. So
Yeah.
pretty crazy increase. But yeah, no, I don't necessarily invest just in my local town. If my local town, the numbers don't make sense, then I'm okay kind of moving around within an hour and a half radius, because once the system is set up, I don't even have to go down there. I haven't been down to Stockton in over 6 months to check on my properties.
Oh,
Most of
wow.
it's all automated now. So
Got it. Got it.
yeah,
And by automated, what do you mean? What systems have you put into place, for example, that helps automate everything on the ground?
I think it's mainly kind of building a team. So I have a team of contractors, right? And they have access to they know the electronic codes on my doors.
Okay.
So if something breaks down, the tenant gives me a text, and I forward that text to the contractor and say, "Hey, can you fix this?" So he lets himself in, does his work, then he, gets out, sends me the bill, and I send him a check.
Got it.
Usually I also have the tenant make sure that, the contractor kind of did a pretty good job, or at
Got it.
least fixed the problem, right? So, most of this stuff is automated. As far as like a tenant complaining about another tenant,
Yeah.
usually I'll have them talk face to face with the other tenant. I kind of empower them, tell them, they're adults now, right? They're getting to that age where they kind of have to take responsibility and solve these things on their own.
Yeah.
So once they kind of realize that, they don't they take care of a lot of things.
Got it. Okay, cool. And then is there any common space in these areas, like a kitchen and a living room? And then if there is, do you kind of set up rules, like kind of like because I've been in New York City before in an Airbnb. It was very
Yeah.
similar setup. So electric lockbox on the front door, kitchen and living room shared with like a main TV area. And then there was like 3 or 4 bedrooms, and each of those had their own combo. So is that kind of how you have it set up? And then if so, how do you like draw up rules, or do you even do that, or do you just leave it and let people run wild, or how do you kind of maintain that kitchen and living room area if there is one?
Yeah, so I do actually have the kitchen and living room in all my houses, a kind of a common area for them to, gather, do whatever. But I don't really have strict rules per se. It's kind of up to them, because most of them are serious about their studying.
Yeah.
So if there is one who, plays loud music or whatnot, usually the other tenants will have a talk and say, "Hey, you can't do that.
Yeah.
I gotta get my Farm D or DDS, right?
Yeah.
So I got finals tomorrow, right?" So they kind of keep each
Work it
other in
out.
check.
Okay.
Yeah, they work it out. It's mainly about what type of tenant you get.
Yeah, yeah,
Most
yeah.
of them are pretty good about setting their own rules, like who takes out the trash or whatnot, like
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Have you ever had to
yeah.
evict anybody?
I have not. No.
Wow. Awesome.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
That's pretty
That
good.
I the main reason someone would have to evict is because a tenant's not paying rent,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And for me, I don't have that issue, so I've never really had to evict.
Got it. Okay.
Hmm.
Cool. And so you think it's a scalable model, and then let's talk a legality of this whole thing. So is it legal to rent out each bedroom in California? I know some markets or some states across the country it's not legal to rent out it per room basis, but if to your knowledge is it legal, or what's a
That's true.
legal thing surrounding?
There's a lot of cities that actually, or there's a couple cities out there that I heard do not allow this,
Yeah.
or you need special permission. So
Got
for
it.
me, in Stockton, I called the city up, right, to make sure all this was okay. And plus, I did see others doing it, so
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
kind of figure
Yeah.
most likely it is. But I called them up and they said, yeah, basically everything's legal. You can even put multiple students in one bedroom, as long as you have a business license with the city.
Got it.
So as long as basically they're getting, because I have to pay for that business license, I pay like 0.01% of the profit or something like that
Got
in
it.
city taxes. So as long as they're getting their taxes, they're happy. They said, yeah, you can do multiple leases, you can have multiple
Wow.
students in the house. That's
That's
fine.
great. That's
Hmm.
great. I think it's really helping the communities as well. I mean, if I was a college kid and I could go rent out something off campus for a third of the price or half of the price of what it is on campus, I mean, my parents and myself would be like, this is a no brainer. And then I can bring three or four of my friends in to rent out the rest of the rooms. It's like, yeah,
Yeah, that's why
this,
this model is so powerful.
yeah, yeah, I agree. And then so let's talk about how you're financing all these deals. Is it just very simple, conventional financing, and you're just saving up for the next one and the next one, or do you have to get creative because it is student housing and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I reinvest the cash flow from each of the houses to the next one.
Got
In
it.
fact, the last one, I took out a HELOC from my first house, the
Oh
fourth
wow.
one. And then, yeah, I used that to put the down payment on the last one. Most of them, yeah, all the loans are conventional loans, backed by Fannie Mae,
Okay.
Freddie Mac, right?
Yep.
I do 15-year mortgages. I actually have a plan to pay them off as soon as I can,
Oh
or
wow.
relatively quickly.
Got it.
So yeah, I'm making cash flow even on 15-year mortgages, which is
Jeez.
great.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
Yeah, so normally we recommend, like for the turnkey business, we recommend all our clients get 30-year mortgages because if they were to
yeah.
get the 15-year, normally things don't cash flow. So normally I do recommend that, but in your case, since these are very high, I rent out a whole house for $900. You're renting it out for, $2,400, right? So it's a much higher rent at the end of the day, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's awesome. Okay, cool. So you're saving up more. You're still working your pharmacy job, correct?
I am. I'm working there 40 hours, and then I manage these houses on the side.
Got it. Do you plan on in the next what's kind of your end goal? Is it to pay off all these mortgages and then quit that job and keep doing this, or do you like your job and you want to stay there, or what are you thinking long term?
That's a great question. So my goal is to achieve financial freedom, right?
Yeah.
So I have the option of, I'm pretty blessed to have this option of paying him off in 4 years by reinvesting the cash flow in my W-2 income. And I'll, retire basically at 31 with $10,755 in passive income coming in.
Yeah.
So that's my plan. And then I thought about like, what am I going to do when I retire? Like, I'm going to probably get pretty bored. I'm not going to, I mean, sitting on the beach sipping mimosas sounds great and all, but I figure, you would get bored after a
Oh
month
yeah.
or two of doing that.
Yeah.
So that's where I kind of decided I should start teaching others how to do this because I truly believe that this model is so powerful that others can do it and achieve financial freedom themselves. You don't necessarily need a six-figure income. You just have to buy these single-family homes and maximize your profits
Yep.
by creating extra bedrooms, right? So I'm starting to teach others how to do it. I created this kind of like mentorship around student housing
Got it.
or the student rental market, basically.
Got it. That's awesome. Yeah, and it's not something that a lot of people are talking about, and it may be I would rather have that. I'd rather have 20 of those than 20 Airbnbs, for example, because even when we hit this recession coming up, your property rents are not going to change 1 cent. The parents are still going to pay. They're still going to have a place for their kids to live, right? And $600 a month for a room is very affordable. So like I think that this is a way better model than the whole Airbnb thing. Because if you're renting like an Airbnb for $700 a night in Venice Beach or Manhattan Beach or somewhere in California, a very expensive area, people are not going to be going and traveling and renting out these super nice houses for $1,000 a night, $700 a night. It's not going to make any financial sense. So they're going to be completely vacant and have no income coming in. While you're still going to be making really good cash flow off of your properties as well. So I really do
Yeah.
like the model. Absolutely.
Exactly, yeah. There was always going to be students. My college has been around since 1865 or so. So,
Wow. Not
yeah.
going away.
And it's yeah, I believe it is more stable than the short-term rental market
Yeah.
as well. I
Yeah.
mean, there are some people who are experts, of course, at short-term rentals, but this model is definitely very solid.
Love it. Awesome. And then, so how can people, do you have anything online that people can kind of reach out to and learn more about what you're doing, maybe get in touch with you? I have a ton of people listening right now who are in California and maybe they have the 50 or 60 grand that it takes to buy one of these things and turn it into what you're talking about. So, how can people get in touch with you if they want to learn more and want to, you be their mentor?
You can reach me at my website. It's www.newbierealestateinvesting.com. And newbie is spelled Newbie. So it's www.newbierealestateinvesting.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. And I think that people learned a lot. I definitely learned a lot about a new model that I haven't, dove in too much about. So thank you so much for coming on the show today, Ryan.
Yeah, thank you, Antoine.
Absolutely.